This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by touringplans.com. And hey, if you're planning your next trip to Walt Disney World and you want to make sure that you're going to be able to do everything without waiting a lot in time in line, well, there's no better resource than touringplans.com. They're going to have all the resources you're going to need to help plan that perfect Walt Disney World vacation. But check them out online. Just go to www.touringplans.com.
Bringing the world to your world, this is Walt Disney World Today. Here are Mike Scopa, Len Testa, Mike Newell, and your host, Matt Hochberg.
It's Monday, November 5th, 2010, and this is episode 796 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of The International Guide to Walt Disney World. And Len, good evening and welcome.
We've gathered here tonight around the fire
as people of all lands have gathered for thousands and thousands of years. To share the light and
to share a story, an amazing story,
as old as time.
I'm itself.
Reflection. Still being written.
Still being written.
I hope you enjoy our story tonight.
Reflections. All right. I still have Halloween candy left over, by the way. If anyone wants some, let me know.
Good to know. Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Though the mountains are high and the oceans are wide,
ain't no valley high enough.
Oh, I thought you got
enough.
Let me read it again. This time you'll get it. Ready?
Yeah.
Though the mountains are high and the oceans are wide.
It's a small world after all.
Bingo.
Wow.
I knew it, actually. I just wanted to throw in some Motown. We heard that.
Nice.
Motown mode.
Exactly.
On today's show, we're going to be continuing the theme we started this past Friday, and with it being November already, you know, of course, in Walt Disney World, it's been Christmas for at least 2 months already, but you know, it's already getting close, and when Walt Disney World is celebrating Christmas, so we thought we would kind of go over a lot of what goes on in Walt Disney World for the holidays. And on Friday's show, we had talked about the Magic Kingdom, and today we're going to venture over to Epcot. That's E-P-C-O-T. That's my little Walt Disney reference for you. And we're going to talk about the holiday offerings in Epcot because they've kind of changed over the years a little bit. Some for the good, some for the bad, some for the worse. So where would you guys like to start when we're talking about Epcot in the holidays?
The storytellers?
The storytellers, yeah.
Yeah, there's Epcot storytellers in all the countries. You know, come to think of it, I haven't seen the storytellers in a couple of years now. Am I correct? I mean, have you guys noticed have they been mostly the same shtick, I guess you want to call it that, for over the years, or do they change it from year to year? The storytellers.
Same shtick, same people.
Yeah.
Monkey King and the rest of them. Father Christmas and I forget the name of the woman in Italy.
La Fontana?
La Fontana. I'm not sure if is that her name? Bella? Something or other. Pretty much the same, but they're always enjoyable. Always enjoyable to watch them perform.
Why do you like them, Mike?
Why I like them because what they bring to that. It tells a lot about the traditions of that country, and what it does is it lends some authenticity to the pavilions, something that's lacking sometimes in the restaurants. But it brings that, and it's a form of entertainment, which I can remember a long time ago when you went over to Epcot in the 80s, 90s. There was always entertainment sprouting out. You don't see it that much, so I see this as being the one time during the year where there's entertainment all over the place. So I like that.
It's kind of interesting when you get to, I mean, you go beyond, like, say, the UK or Canada or America, when you start to get into other really, even cultures you don't think are that foreign necessarily, you know, like Norway, and you start to get into these other ways that, like, you kind of see, like, it's kind of interesting as an American to see how certain elements of the story of Christmas and it's kind of like, you can see little bits of element that we see in America, but they're like incorporated into another culture's story. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So,
like some countries have like the same the storyteller will have the same coat as Santa Claus, but everything else is totally different. and other places have the beard, and you know what I mean. It's kind of interesting to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, like Germany's Christmas dude is green clothes, right?
Christmas dude is the official term. Good job, Len.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It is pretty interesting. What would you? So let me ask you this: now that I've already said that I haven't seen it in a couple of years, do you think this is something you should see every year? It's a must do. Is something you should see if you're happen to be in Epcot and have got some extra time? And what would you guys say? How would you rate the necessity of seeing the Epcot holiday storytellers?
I think that if you're going to walk around World Showcase and you're going to take in the decorations, you might as well take in the storytellers. I think that if you're going to be down there for a couple of days, you spread it out. I wouldn't see them all in one day, but I would.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I would check them out. Yeah, because it's a time commitment. So I'd say 2 or 3 would be good every time you visit Epcot during the day. During the early afternoon hours, I would say is the best time.
And what I would say is, if you've got kids, try and focus on countries like the UK or Germany, where the traditions are going to be more similar to what we have, and then kind of mix in things like China, which has the Monkey King, which isn't, I don't think, particularly Christmassy. Just the kids are able to figure out what's going on there. The interesting thing about the UK is that they talk about the Christmas traditions that originated in England, things like Christmas cards, the hanging of mistletoe, some of the Christmas carols that we know best,
right,
all originated in the UK. So kids will kind of get that, and then you can show them other countries without the kids trying to figure out what's going on.
Let's hop on over to sticking in Epcot, but there's also something else going on in World Showcase, and that's going to be the Candlelight Processional, which is a very popular event, and that's going to be an event that starts on November 26th. Yes, November 26th, and runs every evening until December 30th, and it's going to be telling the story of Christmas. And this I really like. I mean, I've said this on other shows. I mean, I'm not Christian, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really well done, well performed show. This is not a throwaway kind of thing. This is something really, I think it's very well done, and it has a guest narrator, and usually they're celebrity, decent celebrities. We're not even, this is not Star Wars Weekends where they throw in the guy who was the, who pushed the button on the Death Star. This is like, you've got Whoopi Goldberg, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Isabella Rossellini, Susan Lucci. So you've got some decent people here. But Len, what do you like about the Candlelight Processional?
I like the story itself. It's the setting, and then the story's familiar, but everyone tells it a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. And emphasizes different parts of it. The everyone's got great voices that does it. They're really picking the narrators for their presentation skills. And plus, it's a great setting. It's at night. You're in Epcot. You've probably had something to eat for dinner. It's a little bit chilly. Everything's decorated, and you're hearing the Christmas story. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And plus, Epcot's just cool at night. So
absolutely,
that's what I like best about it. It's really every little thing is good there.
It's kind of interesting, Mike. I know you're big on this, but I just was looking at this now, and I wanted to mention it. Epcot's holiday events don't begin until November 26th, which is interesting because Magic Kingdom's Very Merry Christmas Party is going to be starting up in about a week or two. Hollywood Studios kicks off Spectacle of Lights on November 8th, so it's kind of interesting that it's that far back.
Is Food and Wine going till November 15th?
That may be right. Yeah, I think you're right about that, Mike.
So that might be one of those deals where they don't want to. I haven't. Well, you'd know better than us, Matt. If you've seen any decorations going on, I would say probably another week or so you might see that. But maybe they just don't want to bump it into. This is a problem that we talked about that. They extend every celebration, so you're going to be bumping into one before the other one is finished. So that. I'm a little surprised too, Matt. That's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, I mean, truthfully, I kind of like it because I think, in my own personal opinion, Christmas doesn't start until after Thanksgiving, but that being the Christmas season, I should say. It's just interesting that you've got the two other parks kind of kickstarting things a couple of weeks earlier. I just thought it was kind of interesting to notice. But anyway, going back to the Candlelight Processional, Mike, I know you're a huge fan of the Candlelight Processional. Why is that?
I happen to be a fan of Derek Johnson, who is the...
He's the center for the Orlando Magic.
Exactly. And he just does a real good job with the arrangements. And the other thing, it's a live performance. You've got this live orchestra. You've got, I'm not sure exactly on the number, but somewhere around 300 voices. They're on stage. They do 3 performances. I think they're still doing 3 performances every night. It's just an amazing spectacle. And they take their time. Every performance is done as if it's the only performance of the night. Very, very high quality. It's probably something that I don't do it every year. I think I've done it about a half a dozen times. One year I did it twice. It was so enjoyable. I think that everyone should try it. I think that the real popular narrator this year is going to be on December 7th through the 9th, and that's going to be Jody Benson. So I think a lot of people are going to try to see that, see the Candlelight Processional those 3 nights.
Now, with the Candlelight Processional, there's 3 shows per evening. There's 5 o'clock, 6:45, and 8:15. And Disney does offer the Candlelight Processional dinner package. There's actually lunch and dinner packages, and they range in price. I believe there's like 3 categories, right? Like in terms of pricing, really, and availability.
Yeah, there's a first tier, second tier, and third tier, and they're very expensive. I'm not exactly sure what the prices are going to be this year.
I have the prices over here for dinner range from $46.99 to $61.99 per adult, depending on which restaurant, obviously. Lunch runs $32.99 to $51.99. So regardless of, even if you're going for the cheapo option, which is probably I'm sure there's cheaper options like Beer Garden, but even so, that's pretty expensive. For
that.
Yeah, I mean, you get yourself, what it gets you is you get guaranteed seating for the Candlelight Processional. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, because the lines do get long, and the more popular ones, make it more harder to see. Although I do think the first showing that's easier to see, or the last show that's easier to see?
I think it's the first one, because it's usually at 5:45, which is dinner time.
Right.
So
and it's still light out.
It's still light, and you've got the dinner package. So I think that one's the easier of the 2 or 3 to get.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to get there early if you're not going to want to see it, and if you don't want to wait in line, right? If you don't want to get the dinner package, I should say.
You don't want to see it.
And get in there, and it's still very doable, and certainly with the 3 shows a day, it makes it worth it. So you shouldn't feel compelled.
Sorry, I'm gonna sing some Christmas music now while you guys talk.
And the Candlelight Procession, the dinner package, I should say, will require 2 table service credits. So definitely that's not worth it. Pay cash for that if you are going to be doing the dinner package. But there is something in Epcot, and this is the 2nd year in a row now, unfortunately, that is missing. And that's the Lights of Winter, which the most inexplicable absence possible with the worst possible explanation ever. Len, do you want to explain to our listeners what happened last year?
So the Lights of Winter was this long trellis of Christmas lights that stretched from almost the end of Future World to the beginning of World Showcase Lagoon. There's about a 100-yard path bordered on either side by water at the end of Future World, sort of parallel to where the Odyssey restaurant is, where it attaches to World Showcase. And you used to be able to walk through this trellis, and it was sparkling lights and music, Christmas music, and the music was the lights were timed to flash to the music, and it was massive and pretty and everything. And last year, in a cost-cutting move, had to be a cost-cutting move.
Yes.
Disney decided not to put them up, and the reason that they gave for putting them up was that the technology was too old.
Yeah, obsolete. That was the word.
Obsolete. Now, mind you, they're working off of technology in the Tiki Room that dates back to the 1950s. We're talking about commodity Christmas lights. It was like saying B.F. Goodrich saying, "Yeah, we can't make it to the meeting today because we have a flat tire." I was like, "What? That's all you do, right? All you do is obsolete technology. What are you saying?"
It was just, I mean, they had whatever reason, which was probably cost cutting, like you said, or even know what, I'm willing to believe something was like broken, someone bent something, and half the display was broken, right? But they gave the worst their excuse, which was posted on, I think it was on the Disney their blog, if I'm not mistaken, the Disney Parks official blog, and they posted that there. And it was just, I mean, it's the most insulting excuse you could possibly give because no one believes that for the exact reason you just said, Len. So unfortunately, it's not back again this year, and with it gone now for 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
not looking good. I don't think we're gonna be seeing those trellises anytime soon, which is unfortunate because it really was a very nice display. I think it was, for a lot of people, that was a huge component of the holiday decorations in Epcot. So.
It was wonderful, and it was, the fun thing is you didn't have to do anything special to experience it. You didn't have to make reservations. You didn't have to walk around the World Showcase. You just walking through them was entertainment enough, and for a lot of people, that was really what they kind of got out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. It
is a shame. It's a shame that it didn't come back. I mean, the lame excuse, I'm kind of over it now. But I really was kind of surprised they didn't bring it back this year after all the hoopla last year. So.
Yeah, me too.
But there's one more thing that does go on in Epcot for the holidays, and appropriately enough, we're going to be ending the show with this topic because it ends Illuminations. Scope, do you want to talk about it?
A few years back, the powers that be decided that they were going to add a little something extra to Illuminations Reflections of Earth during the holiday seasons.
And it makes sense because the light bulbs were about to become obsolete.
Exactly.
So
they had to have a plan to go forward.
They added what is affectionately called a Christmas tag, and it's it's about 2 Illuminations Reflections of Earth, and it begins with as soon as Reflections of Earth ends, they begin this tag, and it basically is a 5 to 7 minute tag that has just an amazing number of shells that are fired, and over the years it's been very, very much loved. One of the reasons why it's been loved is because the narrator has been Walter Cronkite. So last year, with his passing, we were all wondering what was going to happen. We had a feeling that they would continue with his voice for last year, but we don't know what's going to happen this year. And I have not heard anything. I'm trying to find that out. I'm trying to find out whose voice will we hear this year. I hope that they don't pull it. And if they pull that, oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be sad because really, it's a timeless narration, and everyone still recognizes him.
Yeah. I think so. It's kind of interesting, but because it's such an awesome display of fireworks as well that they throw on there. And Len, we were talking about in the episode where we talked about the fireworks recently. We said that Disney fireworks has ruined fireworks for us anywhere else outside of Walt Disney World, and the Christmas tag at Illuminations has ruined any fireworks inside Walt Disney World also, because any fireworks we see, everyone's always saying the same thing. Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not as cool as the as the ending tag for Christmas and Illuminations.
The last 30 to 60 seconds of it are just nonstop explosions. It's it shakes the ground, it pounds your chest. It's there's ash falling down from the sky if the wind is blowing wrong. It's just a great experience.
It's very, very interesting to watch a guest who's watching that for the very first time, because if you pay attention, once the show ends, everybody's just like standing there. It's like, what's going on? They're just amazed. They're like stunned for about a minute or two. Nobody moves, and it's like, oh my God, what did we just witness? What did we just see? It's so if you can find someone who's watching it for the first time, I'll tell you, it's a treat to watch the expressions on their face.
Yeah, because you see the regular Illumination show, and then it seems like it's over, and then people start leaving actually, and then the extra tag comes on where you start hearing the extra narration, and I would say it's definitely a must do for if you're going to be in Walt Disney World during the holidays, because it's going to give you a whole different perspective on Illuminations, because you see the awesome show that it is, and then you get this on top of it. And I mean, this must be like people seeing it, I guess, Len, this must be like when you heard Van Halen was getting back together, it's just like this kind of like euphoric sense of awe that you're in.
This one's not quite as great. It's only Christmas. It's not quite.
Sorry,
Van Halen that only happens once every 20 years. Christmas comes around every 365 days. But yeah. I mean, I
so
sort
this
of
is more of a Sammy Hagar type of.
This is more of a hey, another song with Sam. That's great. That's good.
Nice. Well,
that was funny. That was good.
Well, I want to remind all of our listeners that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by TouringPlans.com, and certainly if David Lee Roth had come up with his own touring plans for Walt Disney World, he would use the ones from touringplans.com, because that's the kind of scale of touring plans we're talking about. This is not some cheapo guy they threw in that later made his own tequila brand. No, friends. This is the preeminent way to plan your trip to Walt Disney World. This has got the crowd calendar, which can tell you the best and worst days of the year to go to Walt Disney World. Lines, which gives you attraction wait times on your phone. And, of course, an ungodly amount of touring plans for you to choose from. So I'm sure there's going to be one that's going to be perfect for you. Check them out online at www.touringplans.com. Go to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send your comments. You can visit us online at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.